Florida, July 1969. The early morning calm is rocked by a massive explosion. The blast, as powerful as 200 tons of TNT, heralds the start of one of the greatest endeavors in history, the first mission to the moon.
Tower cleared.
It is July 16th, 4 hours before blastoff.
I can't recall getting all that much sleep, knowing what was going to be happening the next day. There was enough adrenaline floating around in the crew quarters, I'm sure, for several missions to the moon.
A space mission will never be routine because you're putting 3 humans on top of an enormous amount of high explosive. We now recognize, and we're still about 5 or 7 minutes above the lunar surface. Through tracking that the crew is doing, they recognize they're not over the landmarks they should have been, and they're going to have to guide the spacecraft to a landing.
Neil was paying attention, really, more than I was. He was looking out the window. We had craters drifting by. There weren't very many identifiable craters, and Neil said, I think we may be a little long.
With the module still at 500 feet, it was rushing into unknown terrain. The odds did not look good.
We'd never been this close to training. We start a clock running, a stopwatch, in the back room with the controller, and he is now calling off seconds of fuel remaining. My spacecraft communicator says, "Flight, we better get pretty quiet now."
Okay, the only call outs from now on will be forward.
At that point, things really started to get pretty tense because, Armstrong knew that the fuel supply was dwindling. He had to find a safe spot to land, and he looked out the window and saw this crater the size of a football field with these boulders the size of small cars all around it, and that's where the computer was taking them.
With the fuel running out, the astronauts were faced with a dilemma.
100 feet, 3.5 down, 9 forward.
The easiest thing to do is to just slow the rate of descent and fly over whatever it is. That takes longer, burns more fuel, and makes fuel quantity at touchdown a little less.
We get a call that we've had 60 seconds. We pass this up to the crew.
Guys looking good, down and a half. 60. Roger. 6 forward. 60 seconds. 60 seconds.
I seem to recall we were a little over 100 feet. And without trying to disturb Neil's concentration, I was giving him a little body English to get on the ground as soon as you can.
I look at the descent rate and say, boy, we're really going to have to drop this guy down towards the surface. And there, it's going to be close.
And 4 forward. 4 forward, drift into the right a little. 30 seconds. 30 seconds forward drift.
We always said in the simulators, if they got to 30 seconds, forget it, scrub and abort. But in that little window, Neil Armstrong could see the lunar surface coming up, and he knew that if he kept going, he would put it down.
I could see the shadow getting bigger and bigger because the sun was behind us, and we were getting closer and closer to the shadow of the lander, and the dust began kicking up.
Picking up some dust. 30 feet, 2.5 down. Contact light. Okay, engine stop, scene is in.
Apollo 11 had landed, with barely 15 seconds of fuel to spare.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. Roger, Tranquility. We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot. Thank you. You're looking
The
good.
team completed the post-landing checks. Only then could they reflect on what a very close call it had been.
Things are kind of in slow motion. You are in somewhat control of what you're doing. But afterwards, you may faint because you realize how close it was.
Very good.